There is a moment, brief and silent, when the clock ticks toward alignment. You glance at your phone, your dashboard, a microwave display, and there it is again, 11:11. A pair of mirrored digits that arrive with the poise of a secret, tapping gently on the veil of the ordinary. At first, it feels like coincidence, an odd trick of timing, but then it happens again. And again. A whisper in the pattern. A recurring nudge. And somewhere inside, a question begins to unfurl. What does this mean? If you've ever felt that strange flutter when 11:11 appears, like the universe just cleared its throat, you are not alone. This is not merely about numbers, nor is it only about mysticism or superstition. There is something deeper pulsing beneath this daily synchronicity, like the heartbeat of a reality waiting to be rediscovered. In this video, we will go far beyond surface interpretations. Together, we will peel back the layers of illusion and decode the spiritual architecture behind 11:11, not just as a sign, but as a portal to self-awareness, transformation, and cosmic alignment. Stay with me until the end of this journey, because what you will uncover may shift the way you see your life forever. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because we explore truths the world tends to whisper, but rarely says out loud. Now, imagine life not as a flat landscape of events, but as a grand woven tapestry, each thread representing a moment, a thought, a feeling, a symbol. Most of us live staring at the back of this tapestry, seeing only the knots and loose ends. But occasionally, something pierces through. A number, a symbol, a sequence. It flickers like light through the fabric, inviting us to turn the tapestry over and see the design from the front. That's what 11:11 does. It's a crack in the matrix, a glitch in time, an encoded signal from the divine blueprint urging you to remember something you've long forgotten. From ancient mystery schools to modern-day quantum theories, there's always been a fascination with patterns and repetition, especially when those patterns echo back to us with uncanny precision. 11:11 is one such echo. It carries with it not just the mystery of numbers, but the imprint of a message. Wake up. It is a wake-up call, yes, but not in the sense of alarms and fear. It's more like a gentle, sacred stirring. It is the language of synchronicity, speaking not to your mind, but to your soul. Each time it appears, it's like the universe slipping a note under your door that says, "You are not lost. You are exactly where you need to be. Something is unfolding." You see, we live in a culture that glorifies certainty, logic, and the linear. But spiritual truth often arrives in paradox, in symbol, in mystery. 11:11 doesn't knock on your rational mind. It taps your inner knowing. It bypasses the ego and whispers to the eternal part of you that remembers who you are. Not the persona you've constructed, not the role you perform, but the being behind the name, the presence behind the personality. Seeing 11:11 repeatedly is not a random fluke. It's more like a lighthouse signal in the fog of distraction. It's a vibrational handshake between your higher self and the physical world. An invitation to realign with your inner compass and step into awareness. You might think of it as a cosmic breadcrumb trail left by your soul before you incarnated, so that one day, when you were ready, you'd start to follow the path back to truth. But truth, in the spiritual sense, is not about accumulating knowledge or dogma. It is about remembrance, about removing the masks and illusions long enough to glimpse the eternal beneath the temporary. The frequency of 11:11, when felt deeply, is not informational, it's transformational. It is the encoded signature of alignment, often arriving when you're at a threshold. A decision, a breakdown, a breakthrough. When you see it, it is as if time itself has paused and pointed a finger, saying, "Notice this. You are not just in time. You are part of a pattern far greater than time." And yet, the mind rushes in. But what does it mean? That's the most human question. We long for interpretations, for linear clarity. But 11:11 doesn't exist to be defined. It exists to be felt, to be remembered, to be honored, like a sacred drumbeat reminding you that your life is not random. It is rhythmic, intelligent, alive. In this exploration, we will travel deep into spiritual traditions, mystical metaphors, and cosmic archetypes. We'll examine why this number pattern emerges during spiritual awakenings, how it ties into energetic gateways, and why it may appear during moments of transition, growth, or divine prompting. But more than that, we'll learn to listen, not just with our ears, but with our whole consciousness. So take a breath, pause the outside world. Let this be your moment of entry, the beginning of your descent beneath the surface noise of modern life. What follows is not a lecture, but a kind of remembering. Because the truth is, if 1111 is showing up in your life, something has already begun. A conversation between you and the unseen, a dance between your reality and the eternal design. To understand the significance of seeing 1111 daily, we must enter a different state of perception, not the usual analytical lens through which we inspect the world, but a more fluid, receptive state. Here, symbols are not mere curiosities. They are living archetypes. In this realm, numbers are not just mathematical, they are energetic blueprints. The repetition of 1111 is not just about symmetry, it is about invitation, a cosmic knock, a coded alignment revealing itself through the ancient language of synchronicity. At its essence, 11 and 11 is about alignment. 4 vertical lines, 2 pairs of mirrored gateways, like the pillars of a temple that stands both inside you and beyond you. Each one stands tall like a sentinel, and when they come together in symmetry, they form more than a number. They form a threshold, a passage, a bridge between the visible and the invisible. When you see it, it's as if the universe has paused its great spinning just long enough to whisper, "Step through." And what are you stepping through exactly? You are stepping through perception, through ego, through the boundaries of time. This is one of the central themes of 1111, timeless presence. The kind of moment when all distractions fall away and the veil lifts, if only for a heartbeat. It's not a place you travel to geographically, it's a shift in consciousness, a piercing of illusion. In many esoteric traditions, the number 1 is the seed of divine creation. It represents unity, initiation, the origin point from which all duality flows. Seeing it doubled, and then doubled again, emphasizes not just the beginning, but the mirroring of spiritual reality in material form. 1111 is, in this way, the echo of oneness vibrating through duality. It is unity disguised in repetition, a singularity split to remind you that separation is the illusion, and remembering is the key. And so, 1111 often arrives in moments of awakening. But awakening is rarely dramatic. It is often subtle, like light slowly rising behind a mountain range. It begins with noticing, then wondering, then feeling. You may start to question old beliefs, relationships, patterns of thought. You may begin to sense that there is something more than the routines of survival. And then, when the soul is ready, the signs begin to appear. 1111 becomes a kind of psychic bell tolling in the background of your life, softly and repeatedly. At the heart of this phenomenon is the spiritual concept of synchronicity, a term first coined by Carl Jung. It describes those uncanny moments where internal awareness meets external event with such precision that you can no longer attribute it to chance. 1111 is the purest form of synchronicity. It exists as an intersection between your inner longing and the outer cosmos. It is a mirror in motion, a divine alignment of inner knowing with external symbolism. Yet synchronicity doesn't simply exist for novelty. It exists to guide, to redirect your attention, to rewire your sense of timing. In the same way a compass needle always points north, 1111 serves to reorient you, not toward a geographical location, but toward a vibrational truth. You are not just a being in time, you are a soul in motion, a fragment of divinity temporarily housed in form. Another profound theme embedded within 1111 is the idea of gateway consciousness. It suggests that there are moments, windows, where the barrier between dimensions thins. Certain number sequences act like codes or passwords, unlocking these windows. 1111 is often called an activation code, and many who experience it describe subsequent dreams, intuitions, or heightened sensitivity. This isn't because the number itself is magical, it's because you are remembering your ability to perceive symbolically. The number is the trigger. The awareness is yours. You might think of this like standing at a crossroads where 4 signposts all point inward. 1111 isn't just asking you to wake up, it's asking you to return. Return to your center, to the still point where all truth already exists. It is not bringing you something foreign, it is reflecting something forgotten. A signature of your soul's agreement to remember. And there's something else, something quietly potent. 1111 may appear not only when you're waking up, but also when you're in alignment, when your thoughts, emotions, intentions, and soul are all humming in tune, even if just for a moment. It's like a nod from the universe saying, yes, this is the path. Keep walking. That's why you may see it before a decision, after a prayer, during a heartbreak, or in the calm after a storm. It's not there to fix the moment, it's there to illuminate it. In this way, 1111 is not a prediction, it is a presence, a kind of spiritual punctuation mark reminding you that you are exactly where you need to be, that what's happening is part of a larger orchestration, that your life, however chaotic or mundane it may seem, is threaded with purpose. And so we arrive at a deeper truth. 1111 does not ask you to believe. It asks you to remember. It asks you to become still enough, quiet enough, present enough to notice the underlying intelligence moving through your life. It is not superstition. It is subtle science. It is not magic. It is memory. Memory of your true self, of your eternal nature, of the cosmic web in which you are not a solitary figure, but a luminous note in a much vaster harmony. When 1111 appears, the world itself seems to inhale. Time softens, the ordinary flickers, and in that blink, you are offered the chance, not just to see a number, but to see through it, to peer beyond the veil and recognize you are part of something sacred, and you always have been. Imagine for a moment that numbers are not just symbols scratched into our clocks and calendars, but ancient living codes, like glyphs etched into the bones of the universe. They breathe, they shimmer, they speak. And 1111? It speaks in the voice of myth, of story, of the soul's hidden memory. To truly uncover the spiritual meaning behind seeing 1111 daily, we must venture beyond language, beyond reason, and into the realm where symbols carry the weight of entire worlds. There is an old story, passed down not in books, but in the quiet whisper of intuition, about a mirror that exists between dimensions. It is said that this mirror is not found in any temple, but in the folds of human consciousness. And every so often, when the veil between realms thins, this mirror appears, not as a reflection of the face, but as a reflection of the self behind the self. The 4 pillars, 1111, form the gateway to this mirror. They are not just digits, they are doorposts, sentinels guarding the liminal space between forgetting and remembrance. When you see 1111, you are standing at the threshold of this mirror, not in some far-off astral plane, but here, in the moment you are about to check your phone or look at the stove, or glance at the dashboard. The mirror appears not in grand rituals, but in ordinary pauses. That is its mystery and its majesty. It takes the mundane and reveals the sacred. There's another tale, older still, that speaks of the origin of time. It tells of how time was born not as a river, but as a spiral, and that certain moments, marked by echoes, repeat across lifetimes. They are the points on the spiral where all realities converge. These are known as the turning keys. 1111 is one such key. When it arises, it is said to open the spiral, not so you may escape time, but so you may see beyond it. For a moment, you glimpse how your thoughts, your choices, your feelings ripple out across unseen dimensions, You realize you are the center of your own becoming. The spiral doesn't trap you, it reveals you. In ancient Egypt, the god Thoth, keeper of wisdom, time, and hidden knowledge, was said to encode divine truth into symbols that could not be spoken aloud. Not because they were forbidden, but because they were too vast for the mouth to carry. Instead, they arrived as visions, patterns, sequences. Some mystics believe 1111 is one such Thothian glyph, a universal marker reminding the soul of its eternal rhythm, a hidden hieroglyph that awakens the internal scribe. Across the globe, mirrored gates have appeared in story. The 4 trees guarding Eden, the twin pillars of Boaz and Jashin in Solomon's temple, the double doors in ancient temples where initiates crossed from the outer world into the inner sanctum. 1111 follows this sacred architecture. 2 doors, 2 reflections, a symmetry of ascent. Each 11 is a gate, the first, a departure from illusion, the second, an arrival into truth. And yet, 1111 is not always comfortable. Just as light exposes, it also challenges. Sometimes, it arrives when your soul is at odds with your actions, when you are drifting, when you are about to make a decision that could either deepen your sleep or awaken your fire. That's when the pattern interrupts. The gate opens, the question returns, will you walk through? In the Lakota traditions, the sacred directions are not only spatial, but spiritual. North is the place of wisdom, east of beginnings, south of innocence, west of endings. When aligned in balance, these directions form a sacred cross, a symbol found again in the symmetry of 1111. Seen in this light, the number becomes not just a digital anomaly, but a medicine wheel, a symbol of centeredness, wholeness, spiritual navigation. When you encounter it, it is as if the directions are aligning themselves within you. Your internal compass begins to point home. Even modern myths have caught on to this sacred mirroring. In films, the moment a character looks at a clock that reads 1111 often coincides with revelation, with breakthrough, with the entrance of the unknown. It is no accident. Our collective unconscious is coded to recognize this pattern, and when enough people begin to notice it, not just see it, but feel it, the symbol becomes stronger. It moves from being personal to being archetypal, a mass awakening, a collective stirring. There is a final story told in symbols across many cultures of the twin flames, 2 souls born of one essence, separated through lifetimes, always searching for reunion. Some say 1111 is their symbol, that when it appears, it signals more than inner awakening. It signals union, of the masculine and the feminine within, of logic and intuition, of action and stillness. 1111. In this myth becomes the marriage of all opposites, the alchemical convergence, not to find the other, but to become whole within. So, when you see 1111, remember, you are not just noticing a number. You are touching a myth. You are standing at the gates of stories your soul once knew by heart. Whether you interpret it as an activation code, a cosmic mirror, a soul call, or the gentle breath of the divine, you are right. Because 1111 doesn't just mean one thing. It is a doorway into everything. And like all doorways, it asks only one thing of you, that you do not fall back asleep. It is one thing to be stirred by mystery, to feel the hum of the universe in the quiet glow of a digital clock. But it is another thing entirely to live from that awareness. This is where many wanderers of the spiritual path stumble, standing on the threshold of 1111, but never quite stepping through. The number appears, inspiration flares, and then life resumes. Bills to pay, messages to reply to, responsibilities that do not pause for cosmic symbols. And yet, that is precisely the point. The deeper meaning behind seeing 1111 daily isn't meant to pull you out of your life. It's meant to pull the sacred into it. Integration is the holy act of grounding the mystical into the mundane. When 1111 shows up again and again, it's not simply to be admired. It is a cue, a spiritual prompt, a question disguised as digits. Will you align your outer world with your inner truth? Start here. Presence. The moment you see 1111, stop. Breathe. Let it be a pause, a recalibration. Just as monks ring bells to bring their minds back to awareness, 1111 can become your bell. It doesn't demand answers. It invites attention. Where were your thoughts drifting? Were you in fear? Were you rehearsing the past, worrying about a future that doesn't yet exist? Let the number bring you home to now. Again and again, 1111 offers that sacred return, but integration also means listening more deeply. If the number keeps appearing, it's not passive. It's a signal that you are being called to notice what you are being called toward. Is there a decision you've been delaying? A truth you've been avoiding? A leap your soul is ready for, but your mind resists? 1111 doesn't necessarily spell out the answer, but it always confirms the question. It amplifies the frequency of inner knowing. When you see it, ask, what have I been pretending not to hear? For some, this may mean stepping into a new phase of purpose. That doesn't require quitting your job or renouncing society. It simply means aligning your daily actions with your deeper values. If you keep seeing 1111 and you feel a sense of longing or restlessness, it may be that your soul is nudging you toward a course correction. Perhaps it's not about what you do, but how you do it. Are you moving through your days with intention or autopilot? Are you expressing your truth or stifling it? Many people report a spike in 1111 sightings during times of major transition, relationship shifts, career changes, health awakenings, spiritual breakthroughs. Why? Because transitions are thresholds, and thresholds are what 1111 represents. When life reshapes itself, we are forced to choose between the known and the unknown. The number becomes like a lantern, illuminating the space between what was and what could be. It reminds you that while uncertainty is real, so is your guidance. Practically speaking, you can begin to treat 1111 as a moment of activation. Create a simple ritual, nothing elaborate. When you see it, speak a silent affirmation. I am aligned. I trust the path unfolding. I open to divine guidance. Let it be a pulse of empowerment. This is not superstition. It is energetic intention. What as a single match can light a dark room, so can a single thought redirect your entire day. Over time, you may also notice that the number becomes predictive. You'll see it before you meet someone important, before you receive news, before synchronicities align. It's not that the number causes these things, it's that it precedes them, like the scent of rain on dry soil before the first drop falls. 1111 is often the frequency of prelude. Something is coming, something is ready. You don't need to know what. You only need to be ready for it. Living with awareness of 1111 also opens your eyes to other forms of synchronicity. You'll begin to notice patterns in songs, phrases in conversations, repeating themes in books or dreams. It's as though the universe, once it knows you are listening, begins to speak louder. This is the gift of attention. It sharpens your perception, awakens your intuition, tunes your life to subtler rhythms. And then comes responsibility. Yes, 1111 is beautiful. Yes, it's mysterious. But it's also a summons. When you begin to see it daily, you are being asked to participate in your own awakening, to no longer outsource your intuition, to no longer sleepwalk through your choices. The number is the signal, but the transformation is up to you. This is where many turn away. I see the number, but nothing is changing, they say. But perhaps the number isn't here to change anything. It's here to invite you to change. That change may be internal, letting go of old shame, forgiving someone who never asked for it, choosing to believe in your worth without proof. Or it may be external, beginning the project, ending the habit, making the call, saying the truth aloud. Whatever it is, 1111 calls you not just to believe in signs, but to become one. When you begin to live in alignment with your soul, even in small ways, the number becomes less of a surprise and more of a companion. It stops feeling like an interruption and starts feeling like a heartbeat, a rhythm. a cosmic metronome reminding you that your life, when lived in truth, is sacred ground. And sacred ground is not far away. It is where you stand now. And now we arrive, not at an ending, but at a deepening. If you've journeyed this far, it's because something inside you has already begun to stir. You are not merely curious, you are being called. Not to collect more signs, but to become the sign. To shift from watcher to walker. To recognize that every time you see 1111, it is not just a symbol floating in the universe. It is you, knocking on the inside of your own skin, whispering, "It's time." Time, after all, is the great illusion. We chase it, measure it, stretch it thin across our lives, but when 1111 appears, time folds. For a split second, the linear collapses into the eternal. You are no longer moving through time. Time is moving through you. The digits, symmetrical and infinite, do not march forward. They reflect inward. They invite you into the space behind your name, your history, your personality, into the place where you are not becoming something, but remembering what you have always been. A soul in motion, a light wrapped in flesh, a fragment of the cosmos wearing a face. This is the final and most sacred meaning of 1111. You are the portal. You are not outside the divine looking in. You are the place where the divine unfolds. Every time the number appears, it is not a moment of magic, it is a mirror of mastery. You've seen the sign. Now become the signal. Live so aligned that your presence becomes a form of guidance. Let your life, not your beliefs, not your words, but your embodied truth, be the message. We are living in an age of spiritual acceleration. The veils between worlds are thinning, not to frighten us, but to reveal what was always hidden in plain sight. Awakening is no longer optional. It is the undercurrent of our age. You are not alone in seeing 1111. You are part of a wave, a rising, a quiet revolution of remembrance sweeping through the minds and hearts of those ready to return to the real. But this return requires courage. Not the kind that fights, but the kind that surrenders. That releases the need to know, to control, to predict. 1111 is not about answers. It is about presence, alignment, surrender to the flow of your soul's knowing. When you follow that knowing, even when it makes no logical sense, you realign with your sacred blueprint. You say yes, not just to signs, but to soul-led living. From this place, synchronicities will multiply, intuition will sharpen. The ordinary will glow with meaning. Life will not become easier, but it will become truer. And truth is what the soul came here for. Not comfort, not applause, but remembrance, wholeness, and the quiet joy of walking in alignment with what cannot be seen, but can be felt in every breath, every choice, every pause, where once there was only distraction. So let the number remind you. Let it interrupt your autopilot. Let it open you, again and again, to the mystery that breathes just beneath the skin of things. When you see 1111, don't just say, "There it is again." Say instead, "Here I am," because that's what the number is truly showing you. You are here, fully, now, a soul awake, a portal open, a heart listening. This is your invitation, not to wait for another sign, but to become the embodiment of the message. Step forward, speak with soul, walk with presence, live as though the divine is watching, because it is, not from the clouds, but from within you. And each time 1111 appears again, let it be a whisper from the universe, not just saying, "Wake up," but smiling softly and saying, "Well done, you remembered again."